Alrighty, I wanted to allow a little more people to drop in, and they did. So, welcome to another episode of Straight Out of Politics. I am your host, Compton J, and my co-host is Liv. How you doing, Liv?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing good, or as you said, off camera, hanging in there.
Yeah.
So just feeling a little fatigued today, but this is an energizing topic that we're going to be talking about today. And today's topic is just really just uh, the trauma around capitalism. And let me bring up uh, the actual tweet here that I wanted to kind of base the discussion off of here. Let's see. Not that one. Okay, let's do this one here. So I'm going to put it on the screen and I'll read it before I do that. But the American experience is very traumatic for everyone but the ruling class. That's kind of the jump off the way that I came up with this idea for this episode. Hang on a second here. Let me share. So let me put that on the screen first. I was going to start with the video Live, but I think let's start with where the idea for the episode came from. So,
Sure.
here we go. Let's see here. I think you could see that, or you should be able to see that.
Yep.
All right. So the American experience is very traumatic for everyone, but the ruling class. Now, I just kind of want to focus on the American experience is very traumatic for everyone. I'm not speaking about the ruling class, but let's speak more about the other 99% of us and, the experience that we're having with the American experience really is, which is the American capitalist experience. So it's American capitalism experience is really what we're talking about how traumatic American capitalism is. So I'm going to we're going to get to some comments in just a bit, but let me share a different angle here. So that's where the idea for the episode came from. Now let me share a video here. Now, friend of the show, Professor Zunkus.
Mm-hmm.
I always say his name incorrectly, so I'm sure he's gonna, mention that if and when he sees this. So I do want to play this video of his where he did this TED talk, Liv, where he is speaking on how capitalism negatively impacts or affects development. And in this particular TED talk, he's talking about the development of poor kids or people in poverty. Let's get through this ad here, and then we'll get here. Of course, there has to be an
Oh, yeah, of
ad.
course.
But yeah, let me pause it there. And just to set this up, this is sort of directly what we're talking about today, which is like just the gap, not the gap. I saw a gap on the screen, but just the traumatic effects or any effects that capitalism has on all of us, the American experience that all of us have been living through, or 95% of us have been living through. And this TED talk kind of addresses that very topic. So I wanted to play it, and then we'll talk about the subject on the other side. So
Here, before you play, Jay, we have someone saying there's an issue with the echoing and the audio.
Oh,
Let's see
sorry.
if we can adjust that real quick.
Let me see here. I turned that down. Yeah, if I turn it down here, it should be going away. All right. So yeah, if you can monitor the comments.
I got you.
If
I got
somebody
you.
says if it's better or if it's not, just let me know and then I'll adjust it. You can just interrupt me, no worries. Yeah. Well, actually, let me test it. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3.
I think we're good. Good.
All right. So here is that TED Talk, How Capitalism Negatively Affects Development, Anthony Zunkas.
In 2008, the National Institutes of Health conducted a study where they compared the brains of rich kids with the brains of poor kids, and what they found was astounding. The brains of poor kids had been damaged to the extent that they resembled that of adult stroke victims. And the part of their brains that were impacted the most was the prefrontal cortex. And that's responsible for advanced thinking, judgment, and impulse control. And it's involved in the storage and the retrieval of memories. So science was showing us that the link between low socioeconomic status and poor academic achievement had absolutely nothing to do with a lack of motivation in these kids. It had to do with the fact that their brains have been profoundly impacted by poverty and inequality. We've been told for the longest time that societies based on competition, individualism, and inequality are the typical capitalist economies, that these are the best societies to get people to reach their fullest potential. In fact, the more competition and inequality a society has, we've been told that's what gives the incentive for people to bring themselves up from the bottom and pull themselves up by their bootstraps to make it to the middle class or beyond. But that's just not so. In fact, more equal societies do far better on a whole range of issues, including academic achievement, but they also have less violent crime, less family violence. And these societies, people have a longer life expectancy and they live healthier and happier lives. Um, if you're not aware of the number of children in the United States that are poor, or what the federal poverty level is for that matter, you're not alone. Most Americans don't know that 1 in 5 children in this country are growing up in poverty, and that the federal poverty level is $24,000 for a family of four. Uh, I live on Long Island. You can't survive as a family of two for $24,000 a year, let alone four people. And experts have said that the poverty level itself is half what it should be. It should be twice that in order for families to have what they need to get their basic necessities met. And if we do set the level of poverty more accurately, more than 2 in 5 kids in the United States would be considered poor. As it stands now, more than half the kids who graduate high school have been on food stamps at some point in their lives. And poverty is a leading cause of death in the United States. More people die because of poverty and inequality than because of heart disease or strokes or even drug overdoses. So it's the inequality that is actually creating a state of chronic stress that is damaging the developing bodies and brains of these kids. And it's not just what's happening in the home. When we look at what's happening in the neighborhoods, they're places of high risk as well. Being born low socioeconomic status raises the risk for a whole bunch of things. There was a study done in 2011, and it showed that for every 1% rise in home foreclosures, there was a corresponding 3 to 5% increase in the amount of hospital admissions for severe physical abuse of children, including head trauma. And some of those kids died. So, what it showed was that growing up in poor households actually increased your risk for child abuse and neglect. Now, it's not that those parents don't love their children, they absolutely do, but the level of stress that parents of low socioeconomic status are under on a daily basis makes parenting to their best potential very, very difficult. And the Centers for Disease Control showed very clearly in their adverse childhood experiences study that the more abuse and neglect a child had growing up, the more risk they would have of having poorer health outcomes throughout their lives. More likely, it would be that their neurological development would be impacted. They're more likely to have anxiety, depression, mental illness, and addiction throughout their lives. But even their physical bodies are affected by the stress to the point where they're more likely to have heart disease, cancer, and diabetes. See, the story of risk, whether it's from low socioeconomic status or the corresponding risk of child maltreatment in those homes, is the story of chronic stress. Our stress levels are meant to go up and come down quickly so that we can get away from a threat. But kids who are growing up low socioeconomic status, they're in a state of survival mode all the time. And it's not just their homes. They grow up in neighborhoods that have risk. Uh, I live in Huntington, Long Island, and like many towns across the United States, Huntington is a tale of two cities. There is a middle class and upper class area, mostly white, And then there are pockets of poverty where low socioeconomic status families live, often black and brown, and some immigrants. So what we have is this tale of two cities. Uh, a colleague of mine works for a youth center, and she asked the kids to describe their neighborhoods and to do it by using words that describe their sights and sounds. The kids in the middle class neighborhoods described seeing lush green lawns and looking at beautiful homes, hearing the ice cream truck as it rolled down the street in the summer, which they thought was a very exciting thing, but I find infuriating at 9 in the morning on a Saturday. But the kids in the poor neighborhoods, they talked about seeing people pushing their belongings in shopping carts, boarded up houses, police all the time in their neighborhood. And when the police go to those neighborhoods, usually it's not for a good reason. And the sounds they heard were gunshots. A few years ago in Huntington Station, they had to close the intermediate school because of a drive-by shooting. So you can imagine the kids growing up with the risk of income inequality in their homes. When they leave the door to go to school, that risk doesn't stop. It's amazing that they achieve it all. And they do.
I think I'm gonna stop it right there because
That is such a good video.
yeah, that I mean, look it up. TED Talk,
That's amazing.
Professor Anthony Zunka's. It is specifically titled "How Capitalism Negatively Affects Your Development." So he is specifically talking about capitalism. But I wanted to start there because I wanted this to be a serious discussion, not that we don't have serious discussions, but a discussion about real trauma from capitalism. Like, this is not just us, just yelling and screaming about nothing. Like, these decisions that are made to save money for some reason, because we're a country, because we're trying to be ran like a business and business save money. Like, it's terrible. Like, you make cuts somewhere, that means somebody's not going to eat somewhere. You get what I'm saying? Like, if you are not paying an adequate wage, you have to either decide, do I pay my light bill or do we just eat 1.5 meals a day for this week? You get what
do
I'm
I
saying?
eat? Do my kids eat?
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. It's this constant level of stress that you're under because you're constantly trying to just make it. Just imagine constantly doggy pedaling for hours and hours and hours. Like, it's just to survive, just to keep your head afloat. It's not even like you're recreationally doing this. You're doing this, you're doggy paddling just to keep your head afloat, and you have to keep doing it. So I'm just saying that type of constant stress has to have traumatic effects. So I'm going to pass it to you. You saw the video, you hear, sort of what I'm describing. What are your thoughts on the video, on what Professor was kind of describing, on just the topic? What are your thoughts?
Oh my God, a lot of thoughts. Well, really quick, birthday shout out to our comrade Troy, who's in the comments right now. Happy birthday, Troy. Thanks for being here. Thanks everyone for being here. Thank you, comrades. God, well, that was a really informative speech, TED Talk. And it highlights it perfectly, but it's not anything that I didn't already know. And I say that because I have a bachelor's of health science and community health concentration. So I grew up, I spent 4 years like in college, like learning that stuff. Okay, nothing changed, just gotten worse. I'm in grad school now, like I'm learning about it again. Like, it's just getting worse. All I'm learning about is, it's crazy because now I'm in grad school and I compare my knowledge and I'm like, wow, it's just getting worse. And it's because we keep constantly funding Israel to get an Iron Dome, and to to the Pentagon, and to militarizing our police force. And like, we have all the money, we just keep redirecting it places. Oh, we keep giving help the rich when they are on the verge of bankruptcy. We bail them out. Like we have all the means are there. We are just not utilizing it correctly, and it's because the people in power do not fear us, and they think they can keep getting away with this and go, because this is just the status quo, and it's just escalating and escalating and escalating, and we're at this tipping point now where like between the climate crisis, the economic crisis we're having, the public health crises we're having, and I say like public health crises because the pandemic is just one of many public health crises we're having right now.
Right.
So there is just the colossal catastrophe happening right now, this instant, that like more people need to wake up and seize the moment on, because and that's what I keep asking myself. I'm like, so like, well, how do I tell people now? Like the revolution has started, y'all. Like attention, it's here. But like, I don't think enough people are awake to this, and it's that's really disheartening.
Do you think that more people need to feel pain before that happens? Like we already have millions and millions of people that are feeling the pain right now, where they would be ready for, a movement, a revolution, but there are some that may not have reached that pain threshold yet.
Yeah.
How long do you think it's going to take, or do you think all of the things that are happening now is going to lead to more people having more stress, more issues? You get what I'm saying? Like the pandemic, the infrastructure bill, the reconciliation bill, all of these things that are happening, these wars, and how, pulling out from Afghanistan, but sort of really just changing the war, not really withdrawing from military activity. So all of these things happening, I just don't understand. This is one thing I don't understand, Liv. So we can't get a $15 minimum wage, or, during a pandemic, it took them this long to get us, stimulus checks, but the military budget is outrageous, and the military budget got more money, and then Israel's getting this money. Yeah, and you know what I mean? Like all of these other people are getting our money.
Our fucking money.
Yeah, I don't think people, because when we talk about this money, that's our money. That's not their money. They're the caretakers of it, I guess you can call them.
They're even getting paid with our money.
Right. We're paying them just to caretake our money and do what we want them to do. That's what this is. Now, I didn't want to...
That's part of the problem, Jay.
What is... Go ahead. Elaborate on that.
The problem now is that we have... Our view right now is we have politicians, and that's part of the problem, because politicians will do anything to keep their careers afloat. We need our public servants back in office for policy making. And public servants serve for the representation of their people.
Right.
That is not... Right now we have politicians serving their own financial interests, which are being funded by corporate PAC money. I
mean, just look at Joe Manchin. What just happened with him and coal? Like he's pushing, I forget what he's pushing. He's pushing, more funding for coal contracts. And guess what? He has stock in coal companies. It's like, it's so ridiculous. And what I don't understand is why don't more people see it? Or is it our job, your job, our job, the people who are already feel like we're already there? Is it our job to pass the word on? And that's what the revolution, that's where we're at in the revolution.
Yep.
Like people don't understand the revolution begins way before the protesting on the streets.
But the protesting on the streets has already happened.
Right. I'm just saying, like, it's going to be on a lot grander scale, but I'm saying we have to educate people more. More people have to understand what's happening. And I think that's what's happening right now. So when you say the revolution started, I do believe the revolution has started. And it's starting with us organizing. And organizing starts with us having these conversations. Yeah. So I do think that the revolution has started. But I believe people believe they don't see revolution until they see millions of people in the streets. And we have to understand that there's a lot to a revolution, and there's a lot that goes into it before we reach the point where there's millions of people in the streets. So that's my take on that. But let me bring up the tweet here. Did you have anything further on there?
No, let's see your next tweet.
Let's bring up the tweet and read some of the comments. That's what I really wanted to do today here. Okay, so let's go here. Sound. All right, so the American experience is very traumatic for. Okay, so let's go through some. I'm going to go through some of the comments I retweeted just first. Time to include them in the trauma. I'm not sure what that one means, but so let's move to the next one. So that's by design. I do agree there that the American experience, American capitalism being very traumatic is by design, because who would work these low wage jobs if those people weren't poor, if those people weren't destitute? Who would work at these jobs that are paying $7.25 an hour? No one. So the system, capitalism, the system has to create a lower class. And that class has to be the working class. It has to create that.
Yep.
Okay, so what are you? All right, so let's bring up a comment here. Did you comment on here? I can't remember if you made a comment on this.
I don't think so, but I was just going to say, like, I wanted to take it one step further and say, like, not only is it reliant on the working class and remaining destitute and in generational poverty to maintain the establishment, but we also rely on prison labor, because slavery, I want to say this loud and clear, slavery was not abolished in the United States. It was merely reformed. I'll say that one more time. Slavery was not abolished in the United States. It was merely reformed with the 13th Amendment, making it legal to make someone who is punished for a crime to perform slave labor. And now that's what's happening, because now as we're seeing, like, we're having the homelessness crisis right now. So now we're arresting people. Like, I just saw a video the other day. Not only are we're either arresting these people and imprisoning them and forcing them into labor camps so that they can work for free and benefit the establishment. We're just straight up murdering them in the streets now, which is what I saw the other day on my timeline. Like, just murdering in broad daylight. Like, I just couldn't believe it. Like, just these armed police officers just walking up to a homeless guy.
Because homelessness has been criminalized. That's the whole way the system
because poverty
works.
is criminalized.
Because you criminalize it, because what use are poor people? You're not making us that much money, so why don't you get in jail and make us some money? You get what I'm saying? Like, it's the lower class. We're looked at as disposable, as just peasants to work.
Yep.
So yeah, let me read this comment here. I thought it was very interesting. It's boring chaos. Everyone living paycheck to paycheck is enduring never-ending, soul-crushing monotony in order to pay rent and bills, with the constant awareness that any unexpected disruption of their unbearable routine could send them tumbling over the cliff with no safety net. I mean, if that does not sum up exactly what we're talking about right now. I mean, I'm going to read that again. It's boring chaos. Everyone living paycheck to paycheck is enduring never-ending, soul-crushing monotony. What does that mean?
Monotony?
Monotony. Oh, I'm reading it the wrong way. Monotony. So let's say it again. It's boring chaos. Everyone living paycheck to paycheck is enduring never-ending, soul-crushing monotony in order to pay rent and bills, with the constant awareness that any unexpected disruption of their unbearable routine could send them tumbling over the cliff with no safety net. Now, Liv, now tell me if that is not stressful. And that's what Professor Zunkis was exactly talking about, is constant stress.
Yeah.
You can't, like, your routine is like, it's terrible. You have a terrible routine, but you know you can't stop it because any disruption means you're not going to be able to pay a bill or two. Can you talk to that? Can you talk to living in that type of state? Not that, if I'm not saying that you live in that type of state, but can you talk about having that type of, like, just constant stress every day?
Yeah. So I can completely relate to that, because that's exactly how I was feeling when, because I'm a millennial. I was told, like, oh my God, go to college, you're gonna be fine. That's how you get a career, and then you'll be fine. But no, the reality is, you, like, get out of college and it's like, oh hi, we want a 4-year degree, 5 years experience, and it's like, oh funny, I just had to do an internship for free, and that was towards my bachelor's degree, and that doesn't count towards my experience. But what? But you're told, so then I end up in a shit paying job, and I'm stuck, and I can't get out and rent an apartment by myself or qualify for a mortgage. So I'm stuck living at home, and then I become absolutely fucking miserable at my job because I realize, what is this? Like, what have I become? And I absolutely hate my job and my coworkers and absolutely everything. This is not what I want to do with my life. So that's part of the reason why I decided to go back to school and get my MPH in epidemiology. But now I'm at this point right now where I'm like, yo, the world is fucking ending. Like, it's ending. And what the point is my fucking degree if the world is ending?
Right.
So now I'm just like, okay, now I just want to drop school and just do full-time activism, go ham activism, dedicating myself to the Green Party, dedicating myself to mutual aid, community organizing, grassroots organizing. But how do I support myself then? Like, how do I live? How am I going to pay for my bills? How I'm turning 26 and I'm getting kicked off because, in America, because of our if I'm not working, which is our insurance is tied with our labor, of course. And then I believe it was Obama who gave us the incrementalism because, we wanted Medicare for all back then. And he's like, oh, I'll push the age back on when you can be on your parents' health care. So now I'm going to be 26 next year, and I am going to be fucking out of luck for healthcare. So, like, I have all these things piling up, but, like, yeah, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do to support myself to live, if we're even going to have a planet to live on.
Yeah, and that's always added to everything we talk about. It's, if we're gonna have a planet to live on, that's actually what we can say with anything we talk about. Everything we talk about, Liv. So, but this kind of speaks to what you were just talking about. Very low wages.
Yep.
For very difficult
Overwork,
work.
underpaid.
Yeah, and I can let's think about all the essential workers. They call them essential. How is it that all the essential workers are the ones that get paid the least? That is so amazing to me, that we call them essential. Not all of them, but we call, people like, working at these face-to-face jobs, these lower paying jobs, essential, but they're not being adequately paid. So I think that, the example I wanted to bring up was customer service work. Like, that is a job where it's very high conflict with very low authority to do anything. So customer service essentially can be described as, you're the face of all the problems of capitalism, and people just there to scream at you, and you're there to take it and tell them. I know I'm going off on a tangent, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. But let's get to another comment here.
Here, you do that, because I'm rolling through the comments.
Yeah, the comments. Yeah.
Sorry. And like, okay, Are you serious? If you have a planet to live on, plan on having a planet to live on. Ha 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 ha. It's not going to die in 70 years. I'm sorry. You are completely wrong. You are clearly not updated on the current climate crisis. Let me read you the article I just found the other day by the Indian
Wait,
Code.
did we put that on the screen? Let's put that comment.
Yeah, I got it. I got you, man.
Yeah,
Here's
put
right
the
here.
comment on the screen. There you
So
go.
I just got an article by the independent.co.uk. Bats, butterflies, and bumblebees threatened to be by an extinction catastrophe waiting to happen in the next decade. Let me say that again. Bats and butterflies and bumblebees threatened by an extinction catastrophe waiting to happen in the next decade. So we're also supposed to have projected empty oceans if we continue this industrial fishing at these rates by 2048. So no, honey. We won't have a planet in 50 years. We're headed towards mass destruction right now. And between the exponential increasing catastrophes that are happening with our natural disasters, between the increasing intensities we're seeing in hurricanes with this hurricane season right now, and the intensity and ferocity of the wildfires we're seeing right now in California. Like, how can you say this? This is so ignorant. And this is part of the problem. So but like, this is why we need to keep talking, because people do not realize the emergency situation. Code red we are in right now, y'all. Code fucking red.
And it's like, I don't know if this is a person who really believes this and they've just been propagandized, or if this is just a bad actor just saying crazy stuff.
No, you know what
I mean? Like,
the benefit of the doubt. I bet they're like, the planet's fine. Like, it's not that big of a deal right now.
That's because capitalism makes it seem like it's fine. Like, hey, I recycle my bottles. The planet's gonna live forever. That's not how it's gonna work. My wife is over there laughing. That's not how it's gonna work. Like, I recycle my bottles and that's it.
Yeah.
Like, that's not actually what's saving the planet. And this is something interesting. I found out a tidbit about that. I found out that cities do recycling because they make profits. And like, if they didn't make a profit off of reselling that recycle, they probably wouldn't even do it. And I thought it was all about saving the planet. And I found that out. I didn't know that. That was just something side. It's kind of related to the planet, but let's get back to this comment here. So 70 years. So plan on having a planet to live in. It's not going to die in 70 years. But let's talk about that. Let's say it's not going to die in 70 years. Let's say it's 100 years. Why if we can affect something, if we can affect the longevity of the planet, why wouldn't we do that now? Like, why are we going to wait till it's real bad? Yeah. That's kind of how I read this comment, is that nobody's really going to die. So so let's wait till it get real bad. And then, you know what I mean? It's like the Hollywood action movie, like, syndrome. Like, wait till we get to the cliff before we actually, do something about this. No, do something way ahead of time. Not that I even, believe what this person is saying, because I absolutely believe in it, like as do you. Just before the show started, I said, hey, Liv, what else do you want to talk about today? Like, what else is urgent? And then what did you bring up? Like, let's talk about it right now, because this is about the climate crisis that's happening. Yeah. So what did you want to make sure we talked about today? And then we're going to get back. We can take that comment off, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah, because I don't know where it's at. But yeah, I know it's highlighted. But so yeah, what did you want to talk about today? And then we'll get back. It is related, because the climate crisis that's happening is because of capitalism. So
sure,
the planet is being traumatized also by American capitalism in particular, and the American experience, because we are the largest polluters on the planet. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe. If I correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe specifically the U.S. military is the number one polluter in the world.
Yes. Those guys.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, them. But it's your recycling that will change the world.
Right. Do we say thank you for your service if they're the largest polluters in the world?
Y'all, but no. Okay, I will say, Have you heard about like all about the military about to be quitting? All the military service members that are about to be quitting because of
No,
the
I heard about the
mandate?
police quitting.
Oh,
I didn't hear
yeah.
about. I heard.
Oh,
I think it
yeah.
was in Massachusetts.
I think this
But
is
tell
how
me
we
the
start
story about.
recruiting.
Tell me the story about what you're talking about the
someone
military.
in one of our podcast DM groups sent a video. I think it was a TikTok video of a military service member saying like, y'all, like we really need help because like a bunch of us are gonna quit because of the vaccine mandate and we're not gonna get it and we need jobs, so like please help us. So like this is our in to recruit them for the revolution, because if we get the police and the military on our side, y'all, it's done. Game over. We could get all our demands met by the end of this year and be on our way. Like this, I think like this is I'm just so excited.
You're
like
excited
we
about
got to
that.
start talking and recruiting these people now.
And okay, so I'm reading some of these comments. They're just ridiculous. But what and what was the climate crisis story you also wanted to talk about?
So okay, well, right before here, I'll pull it up real quick. Right before I came on the show, I was going through my emails and I had a breaking news article. Here, let me just search it. The New York Times about the global extinction crisis and how where's the actual title? More than 20 in all, 22 animals and 1 plant should be declared extinct and removed from the endangered species list, they said, because they are now extinct. And it's a glimpse of the future. The announcement comes amidst a worsening global biodiversity crisis that threatens to make 1 million species vanish, many within decades. And so then the other day, sorry, let me pull you back up on my screen. So then the other day,
so you're saying within decades. It says within decades. So like what the person's comment, that's to the point. That goes to the point to that counters a person's comment that no one's gonna die in 70 years. There, do you count animals?
Well, people are dying now. Animals are going extinct now.
Yeah.
And then I got this article that I just shared that I saw on Twitter the other day. Bats, butterflies, and bumblebees threatened by an extinction catastrophe waiting to happen in next decade. Yo, we cannot survive without these crucial animals. And we've already killed all these animals. Like, what? Wake the fuck up. What else do we need to do?
What else needs to happen?
Mutual aid. Let's go. Revolution now.
Yeah. So why do you think? Before I say what I think, why do you think there more people aren't hey, alarmed, I guess is the right word. Why do you think more people, or do you feel like, I know you feel like more people should be, but do you feel like more people are getting alarmed, or do you feel like it's kind of just stagnant, like it's still the same?
I'll update you the next time I talk to my mom, who voted for Biden.
Oh, okay.
Because her biggest concern is the climate crisis. So Biden was her climate president.
What?
Yeah. So,
did you have a conversation with her after that vote? Like, wait, she told you before she did the vote, like, hey, I'm voting because of climate. Is that what she told you, or she told you that afterwards? The
conversation was, Mom, what's your biggest concern right now? The climate crisis. Who are you voting for? Biden. What? And I was just like, what? And I was just like, I just sputter. So like, I haven't talked to her since then because it's hard for me because all I want to do is like, especially because she's my mom, and you're usually you don't filter yourself as much as with your family. I just want to scream and shout and like shake my mother and be like, Mom, the climate crisis is happening, and he's a climate denialist. Stop it. Right. I just want to scream and shout and like. That's
but you used to be more along the lines with her, right? Didn't you used to be a liberal?
I was never a Democrat.
Never. Okay, so that's a badge of honor. That's a badge of honor.
Thank you. I'm very proud of that. Thank you. I've never voted for a Democrat. I have never been a Democrat or identified as a Democrat. I've always considered myself an independent until 2018 when I registered for the Green Party, and now I'm a proud member of the Green Party. Go third parties.
And so you're under 26, and you didn't.
I'm 25.
Vote
yep.
And you didn't vote for Obama.
I was not old enough to vote for Obama. No, I was a kid.
Wait, 7. Oh, Obama, yes, more than 7 years. I forgot we had.
I
I
grew
forgot
up
we had
in
Trump.
I
Forgot we
grew
had
up
Trump.
in the golden years of Obama.
Yeah. Oh, so you grew up when Obama was like a superhero almost.
Yes.
I mean, he
Yes.
still is. He's like a retired
Yes.
superhero now, but you grew up when he was singing
Absolutely.
Amazing Grace and what else did he sing? Let's Sit It On, his heyday. That's when you grew up. So you grew up sort of admiring Obama in your household.
I grew up thinking America. First off, I want to say I grew up and I distinctly remember I was in 6th grade. I distinctly remember the election cycle revving up between Hillary and Barack Obama. And I specifically remember thinking to myself, Barack is going to win because America is not ready for a woman president. Because I remember thinking when I was in 8th grade that I could never be president because I'm a woman. So talk about.
So you made a personal connection in why you thought Obama, because of you something happened to you and you said, oh yeah.
Because of how I got like the feelings I got from classmates, like 6th graders or whatever. But it was like, oh no, a woman can't do this. Like even 6th graders were saying, like they a woman can't be president.
Right.
Yeah.
Condition. Now you know a 6th grader is not going to come up that on their own. You get what I'm saying? They heard that. They heard that over and over and over in order for them to even retain that by that age. And like, what are we doing to our kids, man? That's terrible. But anyway, continue. Go ahead.
Sorry, no, I was just going through the comments.
Okay.
Oh, here we got it. It's super chat.
Yeah, let's throw that, and I'm gonna pull up this other tweet after that.
Thank you. Magni.com can replace fossil fuels, but NSF wants to fund research for mental health and COVID. Says technology isn't transformative nor origin. Interesting. Thank you for your support. Thank y'all.
Thank you. I got it here. I'm gonna bring it up in just a second.
But I think it's kind of what you asked, like why do you think people are like not so concerned right now about the urgency of the climate crisis that's happening right now? Is because of someone put it in the comments. Yeah, blue MAGA, like the idea, especially white liberals that are in the white privilege bubble and are just like, oh, like I haven't really been that affected. Like I still have my job, I still have healthcare. You may have got the tax break for kids because they're claiming that they just ended child poverty or like halfway ended child poverty, whatever.
So ridiculous.
But which I always love. I was like, they're like 50% ending poverty. I'm sorry, what happened to completely eradicating poverty? Like,
so
did we
ridiculous.
stop giving up about that?
It's so ridiculous. It's like you like the concept of being able to end child poverty without ending poverty in their parents. It is just so absurd. Do these kids who are now out of poverty, did somebody take them out of their home where they live in poor neighborhoods? Like, what are they taught? How are you ending child poverty? They still live with their poor parents. Like, it's so bizarre that is even a thing that we talk about.
Yep.
I don't know. I just think that it's weird. But thank you for this super chat here. At some point, we are going to have to admit that the only way the elite will stop what they are doing is if we are willing to risk jail or death. And he's talking about a revolution. Yes. And I think more and more people... For me, example, 2 years ago, I wasn't talking about a revolution. 2 years ago, I wasn't even calling myself a leftist. I was saying vote.
I was all about voting.
Yeah, like that's just completely. Oh, I already put that one on. It's just completely not what was in my wheelhouse at the time. So I'm an added number to the bunch, and some of my FHL members or comrades, they're new. Like RJ used to be conservative. He's kind of been all over the spectrum. If you ask him, he's kind of been everywhere. Nick used to be a liberal. He talks about it all the time. He used to be a liberal. So people are waking up. We just want it to be a lot faster because there is a climate crisis. It's happening now. All of the things you can see it, and I mean in California in particular, with the fires, with the weather, and some of the weather.
Coast.
Yeah, some of the storm that just ran through where you were. Like this stuff.
I'm still driving by tornado damage.
Wow. Talk about that. So how close did it first off, did it damage any of your stuff?
No.
Or okay, it didn't get that. Any of your family members?
No,
places?
Thank God.
Okay, good. Okay.
No, thank God. But
so talk about that. When you say you drove past damage, what did it look like? What was damaged?
Sure. So this is it was Hurricane Ida, right? Mm-hmm. That was the one that just came through, the big one that just came through, and now we just had I think we've had a few now, but that was like a month ago now, and it made landfall, and it was coming up the Mid-Atlantic. I'm in Maryland, and it gave us a tornado warning, and I've gotten how many of those in my life, and I was like, oh my God, this is nothing. And I was doing a show, and I was just like, yeah, this is nothing. I got the tornado warning, was not worried about it. The next day, I was driving down the street to go get my coffee in the morning, and the road was closed, and I had to go another way. And I went in the trees, and it's still this way. The trees were destroyed by the highway or whatever route it is, but it's still that way. And like they've cleared it from the roads, but you just merely like drive by, and you still see this like plot of trees just destroyed by what was a tornado. And that's just down the street from me. Like, so I feel like an idiot, and it hit me really close to home. And and it's part of like why I have felt like this whole urgency why I need to get out of school right now and just do something else. Like, I just like I'm so inspired by what our comrade Rome is doing like a tour for the poor, and like really just boots on the ground, doing mutual aid for people, and reaching out and spreading education to fellow community members. Like, I want to be doing something like that right now, because I feel like that is where the changes that will get us the systemic change that we need to have a sustainable planet, to have humanity to be on for the foreseeable future.
No, I absolutely agree with you. But you're not putting your plans of education on hold forever. You're just meaning you're putting them on hold. You're thinking about putting it on hold because this is an urgent matter, and it is. Yeah. It is absolutely an urgent matter, and it does feel to me that it's unavoidable at this point. All of these weather events that are happening, you can't keep saying it's not real. You can't keep saying climate change and we're not gonna, like, it's happening, because yes, hurricanes have been happening, but the severity of the hurricane can be connected to climate change, to the climate crisis. The severity, the temperatures are higher in the ocean because of climate change. Because the temperature going up, it creates a stronger hurricane. So the point being that it's already here. So avoiding any damage is already too far gone.
Yeah.
It's already too far gone to avoid any damage. We're just trying to lessen the impact, even to lessen it to the best we can. And it just feels like we have to drag people to this fact. Like, you're on this planet too. This is to save you and your ancestors too. Yeah. All right. So this comment here, animal agriculture is also a huge contributor to climate crisis. What do you think about discouraging animal products among comrades? Now, I know what this is. Can you describe? I think you would describe it a lot better than I would. can you describe to the layperson animal agriculture?
Sure. Yep.
Describe what it is and how it contributes.
So, like, for example, again, I'm in Maryland. I'm in Annapolis, Maryland. I'm right by the Chesapeake Bay. And the biggest polluter of the Chesapeake Bay is industrial chicken farm runoff from the Eastern Shore in Maryland. So when we talk about animal agriculture being one of the biggest contributors to the climate crisis, we're talking about industrial farming, industrial fishing, and the way we are degrading land and not promoting regenerative processes.
Yeah.
The way like we and the mass amounts of animals that we have because of people's I would like to say this all increased. Our animal agriculture saw a dramatic increase post World War II. And that's when everything really became industrialized because it was like, oh, the baby boomers, we got to feed the masses. And that's not the reality is right now. Now we have a surplus. Although people are still starving in the richest country in the world, we still have a surplus. Think about all the videos we've seen. The video that went viral of the farm stand in New York City that all their produce was being thrown away by just the police had been called and they were throwing the produce away. So like if we don't rethink how our diets are and where they're coming from and demand that changes be made for our foods and everything that we consume, nothing's going to get done. But I don't know. That has to be part of the revolution. Like, there's plenty of people who've already been.
Yeah, all of this is part of the revolution. Yeah, it's a revolution for a better life. That's a better life that has to include. I mean, how can you have a better life if the planet is not healthy?
Yeah.
So it's all inclusive. Please watch documentary called Earthling.
Ooh, I will watch that. Thank you. I have not.
Okay.
I want to recommend Seaspiracy on Netflix. That gave me the information of the fact I gave earlier that we're projected to have empty oceans by 2048 if we continue at this rate of industrial fishing. And also it was what I was a pescatarian before. I've slowly but surely not been eating red meat since I was 12. And then I've been a pescatarian for the past few years. Then I saw that documentary last year and it pushed me to be a vegetarian. And I'm not, okay, I don't want to like push that on everyone. Like, I'm not saying to be a leftist, like be a vegetarian or a vegan, but like to see where because I was like, oh, I'm only eating fish. Like, this can't be bad. But to learn about the industrial fishing industry, to learn about the pollutants in the ocean, to learn about byproducts, bycatch being caught like dolphins and whales in the industrial fishing, I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. With that, knowledge is power, and you have choice with that. And I was just like, I just couldn't. I felt too guilty even looking at fish. I can't.
What's a pescatarian? I heard you say
a pescatarian is someone who only eats fish, who doesn't eat.
Wait, how do you say that again?
A pescatarian.
Pescatarian only eats fish. So it's like it's like another level on the spectrum of healthy. So vegan is like the most restrictive, and then vegetarian, and then pescatarian. Vegan. Okay.
Vegan, I think I would just say is the most restrictive.
The most restrictive, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I love cheese so much. I just it's so hard. I'm Italian. My last name is Romano. My last name is a cheese, y'all. Like I don't know if I can give it up. Yeah. But I am very happy being vegetarian, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah. But there are a lot more choices. I don't know where you live. Like where you live is a lot more
privilege.
Choices,
it's a privilege. It's
over here, near in Long Beach, for example, I've seen like, now this is a very leftist area. I've seen like a plant fast food place they'd have down there. They have
awesome.
like they have like where everything is made plant, or it says plant-based fast food is what it's called. But yeah, they have some great, and that's like, it's several different restaurants where they're really making a leap to changing the way people eat and the concept of what we eat. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that in. That
That's really awesome.
I think people are waking up to that part. I
It's
am
becoming
happy.
more mainstream now.
Right.
But
It
if you
is
live
a
in a
thing
food
now. That
desert,
is true. That is true.
yeah.
It is a
But if you're
thing now.
yeah. But if you're living in poverty, if you live in a food desert, if you live in a food swamp, which
Exactly.
is like a collection of like liquor stores and fast food, like this isn't accessible. This isn't attainable. This isn't realistic.
Yeah.
So we need to be talking about that. And part of the reasons why, if I'm a health professional, but it's like, if we talk about like, oh yeah, we want you to eat healthy, we need to talk about the barriers that people are facing to eating healthy. And those are all, like someone said in the comments, poverty is a policy choice. This is all by choice. This is all policy made, politician deemed, completely preventable with the stroke of a pen.
People need to understand that the people who run the country don't see the country as a country. They see it as a business.
It's a business. You said that. Yeah.
Right. They don't see it as a country. So when they speak, they're speaking from the point of view of a corporation. So anything Bill Gates says, like denying vaccinations to everybody, how, like, that guy is pure evil, but like that guy's pure evil, but that's just a side. I mean, we could have a whole episode on just that, but like denying vaccinations to certain countries or not having it as accessible for certain countries is just, or wanting to do that. I don't know if that's what we're doing. I'm just saying I know he's advocating for that, and it's just terrible. But anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I'm just going through the comments, y'all. Love y'all. Thank y'all for interacting with us. People are interested in I knew the vegan leftist take would get some comments.
Yeah. So I'm not a vegan or a vegetarian or anything like that. It's just that I've never been a person who really liked red meat. I never liked it. Like I say this and people think I'm crazy. Like I don't like steak. I never go to a restaurant.
I never liked steak. Nope. Yeah.
Let me order.
I never really liked hamburgers.
So
nope.
Yeah. So I never really had to be like, oh, you know what I mean? Now I do eat a hamburger. Now I'm on turkey burgers now. So I do that, but I've never been really into that much beef, and luckily my wife is kind of health conscious, so
that's great.
We do eat,
but that healthier. Knowledge also to know that red meats and I mean there's so much nutrition science is so frustrating for me because it's constantly changing. But as someone in the comments did say, like, red meats are linked to heart disease and other like cardiovascular diseases. Vegetarian diets, plant-based diets are proven to. I think it's something about like how it's the most natural something for like humans.
Just look what animals eat. Just look what other animals eat. I mean, that's kind of what you go off, like what would be the best for you. I think is you look at what other animals eat naturally. I mean, what do cows graze on? Like, just eat grass pretty much. Or I mean, other stuff, but but yeah. And what you say?
And they're huge animals.
Yeah, that's true. And they're huge animals just being vegetarian. So that's just amazing, I think. All right. So let me bring up this next comment or this next tweet and we'll talk about some of the comments there. This one sort of on the same sort of topic that we're talking about today. So we're going to go back to the main topic away from sort of the climate talk, although I feel like it's going to be peppered in some of the things that we're going to be talking about.
Although moderating your meat intake does help the climate crisis.
Yes,
which is which was part of a topic. Sorry.
No, that's perfectly fine. So can you see that capitalism doesn't allow for time to take care of your mental health? And you and Anna did a topic like this or similar, maybe it was the exact topic like this on conversations with leftists last week. And, this tweet got pretty good numbers, but I thought it was just something that came to me and I just said, it doesn't. When you think about it, like you don't have a time, like you don't have a stress timeout at all with capitalism. And we just spoke about it earlier when we were talking about the tweet where the on Twitter where the person was describing how it's a never ending, the never ending, like just constant terrible life, but you can't stop it because if you do, you're not going to be able to pay your bills. So you're just locked into this constant thing. And I think this is what the pandemic did. It allowed a break from that. And people are not coming back to these jobs, to a lot of these low paying jobs that people were so locked in without the ability to get out. Like not even the ability to go on an interview to try to get another job. I've been there where I just had to quit the job. Like it was no way for me to have the job and interview
for my mental health. I had to.
It was just for me. It was like I couldn't get days off. Like it was so hard to get days off, and it was just like I just had to quit the job in order for me to be able to look for another job. So just wanted to make that point. But let's look through some of the comments here. I like this picture here. So let's start from here. So capitalism doesn't allow for time to take care of your mental health. And this is one of the replies here. For real, the problem is capitalism. Me, every opportunity I get. Yes, that I love that picture. But let's bring up another one here. So here's another one.
Yep, that's great.
Or to spend proper time with your kids, or to continue learning formally or informally, or to do constructive work to improve your material condition in your community and so on. Yes, it doesn't allow for mental health. It doesn't allow for you to be with your family. I mean, just think about it. We live in a work society where you literally spend more time, physical time, at work than you do your own family.
Yep.
That is completely absurd.
How did that get normalized? Like boomers, traditionalists, like how did that get normalized? How'd y'all fall for that?
Man, boomers have been messing up everything, huh?
I just remember like hearing like, oh, like you're gonna go to school and then you'll be working for the next 40 to 60 years. And I was just like, and then maybe, before you die, you'll have some years to live your life and have fun.
Right. Now, before anybody says anything, the boomer comment was a joke. There are some great boomers, some great leftist boomers.
We're not being generalizing. We're not generalizing all generations.
Flippant. Yeah, I was being flippant with the comment, and maybe I shouldn't have done that. So, but yeah, capitalism doesn't allow for you to spend proper time with your family. And to me, that's the biggest takeaway out of this comment, is that families are so disconnected because we don't spend time. There's so many latchkey kids.
Yeah.
There's so many, and it's not the parents' fault. They need to work 2 or 3 jobs just to get by because our system suppresses their wages. So, it's all interconnected. It's all interconnected. So let's try another comment. There's Mama Earth. She just says fact on that one. Is this the joke right here? Capitalism doesn't allow me time to was he gonna say finish the comment? Oh, that's pretty funny, I guess. Let's get to this one here. And how many jobs have we all worked where we were mentally, emotionally, physically abused?
Yep.
Yeah. Now I've worked I've had so many different jobs, but I've worked in the restaurant industry and the bar industry. Yeah. Your manager yelling at you, customers yelling at you. Yeah. So we've all experienced it, and you always think like, am I being paid enough? I'm not getting paid enough for this. Now I have a story. I have a
Go
story. Now I'm gonna come back to the comments because I do want to read some more comments. I walked off my job is when I literally was on a shift and I was working at the Rainforest Cafe in Anaheim. I was a server there, and the manager said something just to me where it just clicked to me, and I was like, if I was in Compton and somebody said something like that to me, there's no
Damn.
way. So I just said what I wanted to say to him in front of everybody. His jaw dropped, and I took off that stuff and I said, fuck, F you, and walked out. And literally, people were clapping that I
Love
did.
it.
People were
Love
clapping
it.
because they knew that we weren't being treated appropriately.
Yep.
And what the best feeling I had was when I came back to get my last check, and word had got out what I did. And Rainforest Cafe, maybe you've never heard of it, but this is a huge restaurant that's on Disneyland grounds. It's like huge. So like upstairs, like 3 floors. I think it is 3 floors. Yeah. So there's literally maybe 40 employees down there, and I'm getting a standing ovation because they was like, man, I've been wanting to do that. I wish I had the courage. And this is before I was like this is years ago. And but yeah, I just wanted to tell that story because I've always been a leftist here. It's just, I didn't know how to articulate it until recently. But yeah, that story is a proud story I will always tell of
That's
how
awesome.
I just walked out. I was like, I'm done. And I just walked out, and everybody was just like, man, I wish I had the courage. But now that I look back on it, to reflect on what people were saying is sad because people felt trapped. For them to say, I wish I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying that I'm in such an economic strain that I can't walk off this terrible job and I'm being treated this way. I can't walk off of this. So I just have to take this treatment. And I think that's what that comment and those comments like that said about that. So anyway, that was my little story. I'll bring.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
we need to normalize that. Did you see the video of the girl at Walmart who went on the intercom? That was dope as shit. That we need to normalize that. That is how we get this revolution going.
Like she broke it down too. Like it wasn't just a simple they treat us bad, but I'm out. Like she broke down
she laid down the facts.
Yeah, she laid down what they were doing. So yes, I did see that a TikTok video. I think I forgot it wasn't on Jimmy Dore. I forget where I saw it, but yeah, I saw that. Let's read this one here. Mental health for so many people will always be compromised, specifically because of capitalism, and that is very, very true. It is even compromised in our healthcare system. Like, how hard it is to get a psychologist through your health insurance?
Oh, this is real.
Hang on one second. Yeah. Okay, my wife was telling me something, but go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say this is like real personal to me because I have bipolar 1 disorder, and I'm just like sputtering right now about like where to even start. Like, so even with private health insurance, it costs. My psychiatrist is out of network. It costs $300 to see him.
That's with insurance.
I have insurance, but many psychiatrists do not take insurance.
Oh, I also have I have a therapist, and I've come to learn that it's terrible. So this is the critique. I do want you to further kind of delve into that, but this is the critique that I'm talking about, is how mental health is kind of just pushed to the side, even in our healthcare system. Like it's just kind of a second thought. It's like, okay, we'll put something in there, but it's really we don't really want you to use it because the insurance I have, they don't even directly you can't even directly get. They contract through another, like, it's like a mental health care company where they're healthcare, but they only provide for like mental health, only doctors. So they third party theirs out. They don't even handle it through their insurance. Like I have a separate healthcare insurance than my, mental healthcare advocate, which they call their therapist. But continue with your, sort of personal experience with bipolar disorder, and just how being wrapped up in how having to try to get treatment and the cost. I mean, I can't imagine $300 every time you see your is it you say
My
he
psychiatrist.
your psychiatrist.
Yep.
Your psychiatrist. Okay. $300 each time. That is so prohibitive.
Yep.
Like just imagine not being able to afford that cost for a year. Like, what condition would you say you would be in, not being able to see your therapist or your doctor or your psychologist?
So a little background.
Sure.
I have always struggled with anxiety and depression, but always was thought it was just like hormonal and like I'm being dramatic. I'm a woman, like blah blah. You're a girl, like it's toned down. It's just like things to be like hormonal imbalances, blah blah blah. It's whatever. And then summer going into college, summer going into college, which I went into fall 2014. My parents split up and my whole world fucking changed. And that's when I started going to therapy. So I was going to therapy, and then I was diagnosed by a pediatrician with generalized anxiety disorder after having multiple episodes of panic attacks. But I was diagnosed by a pediatrician. I was not giving a referral to a psychiatrist, which is what should be done, because a pediatrician is not a mental health provider and should not be giving a diagnosis. So I gave her a very strongly worded letter later. It made me struggle. Yeah, a pediatrician gave me a diagnosis. So it made me struggle for a lot of years because I went undiagnosed with my bipolar 1 disorder, and it was just bubbling, which made me struggle a lot throughout college. And then it really precipitated into my first manic episode my last year of college. This is so, like, again, this is all privilege that I'm about to lay out. Like, otherwise I would most likely not be here today. But because I already had a therapist, my mom had set up a therapy appointment for me. And I had a therapy appointment during my manic episode, and my therapist had already arranged a meeting the next day with the psychiatrist at that firm for me to get diagnosed and get medicated. Otherwise, I would have been in a manic episode, spiraling into I can't believe I'm messing this up. What's after that? Where you dissociate from reality. And psychosis. I was spiraling into psychosis, and because I was already in therapy, that's what's got me a psychiatrist visit. Otherwise, I would have spiraled into. I probably would have had to be committed to a psychiatric institution, which I did have to do after, because I voluntarily committed myself later, because after getting medicated during my manic episode, even though I was medicated, I then spiraled down into a depressive episode, which lasted for months and was my worst one, until I voluntarily committed myself to the ER, which then got me committed to Shepherd Pratt, which then got me on a new antidepressant, which like clicked, and like a few days after being on, and really helped my depression. So if you need help, if you are ever get to a point, like, please reach out for help. But that's the point. Like, how do you reach out for help if you feel like your only solution is like, oh, I have to go to the ER, like
Right.
that a lot of like that, it's just
Right.
not accessible to a lot of people.
Right. So that's kind of like where I wanted to talk, the intersectionality where I wanted to talk about, like, so say you're not able to see a doctor, like you're in that position and you're having to live so it all ties together. So it ties into the main topic we're talking about. You're having to live through these manic episodes without insurance, without seeing somebody, and you have to keep going to work. You have to make sure you're paying bills. You're barely making it by. This is that constant level of stress that Professor Zonka's Zinka speaks about in his TED talk of how capitalism negatively affects development. And so let me read this comment here. Thank you, Chris Bedford, for the super chat. Hey, how about a GoFundMe to support workers like the Walmart lady who got on the store mic? Oh yeah, so implemented dissent and worker solidarity. I would be in. I would too. I think there's several different mutual aid GoFundMe accounts. I try to retweet. I know you retweet a lot, so maybe we can put, or let me take this off. Thank you again for that super chat. So if you go on Twitter, Liv, I know she has a lot of retweets from different mutual aid.
Yes.
There's another comrade. I'll get her name. Maybe I'll look for her. Who that's all she does. Like she every day she's making sure she's getting the word out for different mutual aid that's needed. So yeah, I want to make sure we promote that always. So yeah, let's now go back to those comments. I'm gonna bring up the tweet and go through those comments. If you would Live, kind of look any comments.
Yeah, I'm going through the comments right now, y'all. Thank you.
And we'll take it from there. Okay. So let's bring this up.
Yeah. Someone's saying every time I reach out for help, I'm gaslighted and my insurance gives me little support to pay for it. Yep, that's mental health care under capitalism, y'all. Like,
yes.
Yep, I am so sorry you're going through that. Follow me on Twitter and DM me. Let me see if I can help you figure something out. But that should not be the case right now. And especially during a pandemic, when we're seeing all these, which we were already seeing prior to the pandemic, we were already seeing, especially among youth, the increasing trend of mental health disorders, especially depression and suicide in young people. We were already seeing that prior to the pandemic, and now that has just escalated during the pandemic, as well as the opioid epidemic, which was already happening prior to the pandemic. And the fact that we do not have single payer Medicare for all, which includes mental health care, is part of the problem. And that's why single payer Medicare for all is the only solution.
Absolutely. And as this tweet, we were kind of just discussing this. I'm sorry, as this reply to a tweet. Now, this is sent yesterday or a couple of days ago, and it's just what we were just talking about. It's minus mental.
Yeah.
Out of the overall healthcare system is capitalism is unhealthy, and it absolutely is. And that came from,
because what is capitalism? Capitalism is profits over people. Of course, it is always going to put profits over XYZ. So yes, mental health is one of those things. It will always be not even second. It is in the bottom pit of things that the corporate, the CEOs and all the ruling class care about.
Just think of remember when in the post office, when postal workers was going and having those episodes, you mean the stress level from those jobs, and I can't even imagine the postal workers, the kind of stress that they're under, being overworked and underpaid. Because I'm not talking about the mail carriers. I'm talking about the people that sort the mail, because a lot of people don't know a lot of mail sorting places are open 24 hours. Just because the post office is 9 to 5. That has nothing to do with the people sorting the mail, and they're back there sorting and working, and Amazon workers, same sort of style. What I heard, Liv, you tell me if this is true. Maybe you can confirm this. Amazon workers have like a GPS tracker on them where they could be tracked as how much they're being their productivity. Have you heard of that?
I think I know what you're talking about.
Maybe it's not GPS tracking, but it's sort of some sort of tracking system while they're at work, so they know if they leave their spot. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're tracked if they leave their area, if they're not moving. I just thought that was just
insane.
Yeah, it's just insane. Yeah, and it goes to the mental health. Also plays into the mental health. So let's see if we have a few more.
Someone said it's a vibrating wristband. Biometric scanning. That's so
it's no way I would take a job like that. Now, I'm not making any comment on anybody has to take a job to pay their bills, so that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that's not something I would do. Capitalism depends on compromised health.
But I bet, Jay, you would to feed your family, just like anyone else would.
That is true. That is true. Like, I'm glad where I'm at, I have more options where I don't. This person may not have that option. So we don't want to make that determination.
This is the, like we're saying, the American experience, which is white supremacy based capitalism and imperialism, is to make it that I cannot live any other way, so I have to take this job where they're going to put a biometric scanner on me, make me pee into a bottle.
Right.
I have no choice because
this is why they have to suppress wages. That's why they have to suppress wages, because you have to suppress wages to create a class that has to be in this perpetual state of taking low-paying jobs. This is why it was so hard to get stimulus checks, because people can't have a lot of money, because then they're going to realize they have more options, which is what they're having right now because of this pandemic. It's an unintended consequence of the pandemic and their lack of economic response. People not going back to these low-paying jobs. I know I made a career change. I'm not ever going back to that industry that I was in. So yeah, but back to this comment here. Capitalism depends on compromised mental health. It breeds unbalanced humans. I would have to agree with that. And it's on purpose.
Yep, it's by design.
It's on purpose. So why do you think it's on purpose?
To profit the ruling class.
Right. Because it's how I look at almost everything is you have to understand they look at the country as a business, a corporation. So if they look at the country as a corporation, that means they look at us as workers.
I'll take it a step further, Jay. It's not just the US at this point. It's the whole entire world.
You're absolutely right.
At this point. And all the world and humans are being monitored for is our labor and the resources we can provide. That's all they're interested in. That's all the ruling class is interested in.
Yeah.
And until this revolution happens to overthrow that, we're going to just keep seeing our demise.
Yeah, I'm gonna play that video I made about that in just a second. But look
at
this comment. Time is money. Your time makes them their money. That is absolutely true. Money is an accounting tool meant to facilitate and regulate the fair exchange of goods. He's making a point.
Point
Do you like
made.
that?
Yeah, for sure. Facts.
Do like that. Why is Rome calling me right now? Let me see what Rome is calling me. Hey, Rome, you know I'm live. I'm taking your call live streaming right now. What's up, Rome? Yeah. Huh? No, you're not on speaker.
All right, guys, I'm going through your comments. Yeah, okay. Bezos is fucking he's playing in space. for fun. Like how does that not make the average person more angry that the rich are not being taxed because they just get to dabble in spaceplay for fun? That's crazy. Yep, capitalism is a parasite on humanity itself, and it has zero regard for the survival of the host. Capitalism is not even a good parasite.
All right, so that was something that was urgent, and it's about our next episode about the CIA conversation. It looks like the Convo Couch had her content taken down.
No way.
So yeah, so we're probably gonna stream that just to Rockfin. So yeah,
Wow.
she's having something going on with her right now. So yeah, that was an important call. I'm glad I did take that on the air, just so I'm aware of that and we know how to plan moving forward. So perfect. Thank you, Rome, for that. So that was Rome giving us the heads up about that. So thank you again, Rome. So there was one other thing I did want to cover. I think I lost that idea though. Hang on a second. Let me see if I get it back. If I read this top part here. Yeah, no, I think I lost it. If I get it back, I will bring it back up. But I do want to bring it back to the conversation before we kind of wind the conversation, or bring it back to the topic before we kind of wind the conversation down. The point that I want to make is that whether intentional or not, I believe it's intentional, whether intentional or not, capitalism creates trauma. If you're poor and you're living paycheck to paycheck and you're not knowing if you're able to pay bills here and there, and your stress level is constantly elevated, that's creating trauma. So suppressing wages is very traumatic, has very traumatic effects. Not paying people a living wage has very traumatic effects. And that's how I like to approach, or that's the way I want to approach all politics now. And I think I have it in my bio on Twitter, is that I want to approach everything from how it traumatically affects people. Because I think that I can get more people to listen if I'm talking about how traumatic it is. You know what I mean?
Like it's kind of like a public health approach, which is my exactly my bread and butter. I love it.
Right. Like just yeah. So forget about how the war is imperialist and everything. What's happening to the families whose kids are getting bombed over there? Like what's happening to those kids? Are they getting treatment for the trauma that's going on, for the relatives they're lost?
What about the Palestinian kids from the Iron Dome that we're funding?
Exactly.
What about those? Do we not care about those? Do we not care about the Haitian kids and all the other people that kill kids at the border? Do we not care about that? What
traumatic experiences are these Haitians are going to have because we're denying them asylum, which is they're legally able to come and seek asylum.
Yep.
But not Black and brown people are not able to do that. So
there's still kids in cages.
Mm-hmm. Right. So So what we're rambling off is all the things that are traumatic in our system. These things are very, very traumatic. Now let's talk about the police state. You know, laundering or just funneling Black and brown bodies, indigenous people, mass incarcerating them. What is that doing to their families? How is that traumatically affecting kids of incarcerated people? That their family member is distant and they're growing up in the world. Like, you know what I mean? Just imagine growing up with your parent in prison. Like, I can't even imagine that, or imagine growing up with your parent being murdered by the police. You know what I mean? Imagine growing up with your mom. Like, it's just all these traumatic experiences, and then at the level of poverty. So you got constant poverty that's traumatically affecting you, and then you add some of these other conditions that a lot of indigenous Black and brown people are in these lower, low low economic communities. Like, it's just terrible and very, very traumatic. What do you have to say, or what do you want to say about any part of that or all of that? Just talk to, but I want you to kind of talk more about like it having real traumatic effects. Like we're being, I don't think it's a coincidence that we have doubled the amount of medication we're taking for ailments that are related to stress and anxiety. Like, why is that? There's a connection. There's a reason that our particular system is producing all of this anxiety, all of this stress. So just kind of speak to the effects and your thoughts on any part of that.
Well, it's like what you said, capitalism is traumatic, but especially like poverty is traumatic, and poverty breeds generational trauma. And that is, those effects are being felt from the history to the present. And that's being, and now, especially with what's happened with COVID, what's happened with, the eviction moratorium, like this is all like becoming like even more front and center right now, affecting even more people right now. And I just don't know how you can't see it. Like, I don't know how people are not awake to this right now and like seeing what's happening to us. But I guess if you're watching the mainstream media and buying the propaganda, like if you're in the monotony that capitalism breeds, and part of that monotony is getting your mainstream media for your news, that's part of breeding the system of complicity and submissiveness and oppression. And
I'm just trying to think
docile.
I'm just trying to think back to when I was part of that system, where I was thinking like, oh, all I have to do is succeed. And, I looked down at homeless people, not necessarily home. I looked down at homeless people. Yeah, I did. Like, I would give them, like, I would help. Oh, here's change. But in my head, like, I didn't express it, but I know now I'm looking back, and how I know I don't feel like that now. Like, now that I look back, it was like, yeah, I didn't see them as equals. I didn't. And that's part of one of the things I say, being a leftist, this is a side thing, has made me a better like person to be able to see, you know what I mean? It made me a better person to see those types of things. But yeah, so yeah, that's my take on this. So here is a good comment.
Capitalism. I was just gonna say, because what you just expressed, the dehumanization that we do for even people of color, but especially people who are homeless, and because then we can criminalize that and make them prisoners and make them work for free for us.
Right. Well, yeah, that too. But the point now, I'm just, what you said jogged the point I was trying to make about homeless people, or at that time. So I was in the machine, and I thought that I was being successful. I had a job, and it was paying me well, and all this stuff. And I viewed things as all of what was happening. I got me here, and if you were over there homeless, this is why I brought up the homeless person. I thought that you got there because of your fault. That's what I thought.
I was just going to say.
That's
the
what
individualistic thought.
Right.
The individualism behind it, not the systemic approach behind the systemic system behind it.
The system conditions you to think that way. It because it tells you, you got all that money because of you, no one else, right? That it tells you all your success is because of you, no one else. And I guess humans do want to buy into that, or maybe some humans, or maybe American culture teaches you to kind of want to buy into that you got there, so you hoard your money. Because to me, there's no way, Liv, that I could have $1 billion and there be people starving. and I'm
$1
not.
billion, Shay?
No, I'm just saying, like a billionaire.
Like, can you even imagine? Can you
There's no
even, like,
way.
that number?
There's no
Like,
way
that
that
number.
I wouldn't go and, you know, house literally tens of thousands of
Right?
people. Like, and it wouldn't even affect me. Like,
Right.
it wouldn't even, you know what I mean? Like, I could literally spend $200 million and I could spend $500 million. How much do they say you can eradicate homelessness? I forget the number of that.
Oh, I don't know, but I
thrown
know there's
around.
like 28 vacant houses for every person who is houseless right now in the United
Mhm.
States. Like there's obviously more than enough homes to go
Right,
around
there's
for
enough.
everyone.
Right,
Yeah.
but those homes are not meant for homeless people. They're meant
No,
for
because
people who
they're
can
less
pay a lot
than.
of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's meant for people who can pay a lot of money, and we can get them some subsidized housing that takes, you're only on that waiting list for about 5 years. That's all. It's so ridiculous. But anyway,
Yep.
let's read some of our other comments here. This one looks like an economic comment. Let's read this one. GDP is actually the measure of distrust in a nation, and they celebrate when it grows. That is a take I never
Interesting.
heard. Yeah, I never heard of that one. It was 20 billion
20
to
billion.
eradicate.
Is
Yes,
it 20? That's
20
a lot.
That is a lot. I thought it was
Is it 20
less,
billion or is it million? Because 20 billion is a lot.
20 billion. I don't think it's
Because
20
that's a
billion.
lot.
If it is, whoever
Maybe
posted
that's worldwide.
Yeah, 20 billion. Oh, that maybe he means world. Maybe he or she or the
Worldwide.
person means worldwide. Yes,
That's
that could
interesting.
be the number if you meaning
Okay.
worldwide.
Okay,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah, that could be the number. Now that you said that, I didn't even think of that when you said that. So yeah, let's see what this person says. Jinping says houses should be to live in, not speculation.
Hashtag housing is a human right.
Housing is a human right. We should buy up those houses and share.
Yeah.
That would be. I mean, this is part of the mutual aid that we talk about. If we did have a mutual aid structure that strong, where we're able to help people with housing, like paying for houses or building houses or help build houses or help fund houses, like that is a mutual aid utopia. I would love to have something.
Yeah.
Something like that. That would be great.
Yeah.
Okay. Make this one. Person says 40 billion to eradicate. Wow, that's a higher number.
Yeah, I doubt that. I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of money. Whichever the amount is, I was trying to look through here and see if anybody else had a different.
I'll do a quick Google check.
Yeah, if anybody had a different amount here, and Liv will look that up. All right, I think I got through most of the comments there.
Okay, yeah. According to the Department of Housing and Urban Development, it would cost, oh my God, $20 billion to end homelessness in the United States.
Wow. But it's a lot of money to you and I. The military got more than that.
Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates,
yeah, like
Elon Musk.
20 billion. 20 billion. So our country is saying to make sure everybody has a home is not worth $20 billion. This is how they look at the country as a business, and why a country can't be looked at as a business, because a country is supposed to provide for its citizens, regardless of the cost. That is how a country is ran. It's provide and then tell me whatever the cost is. A business is ran the other way. This is what I have to spend. Tell me what I can get. It's ran the other way, but we're being ran as a business, and not like nothing should be said we can't afford. What that concept for a country, that should not exist, that we say we can't afford something. It's that this is what we want to do. Now let's find a way to pay for it. That's
Yep.
how it should be. So it's like,
This is the problem. Here's the
right.
solution.
Right. That's how a country is supposed to be ran. Not, we can't afford to put everybody in a house. So that's it. The end. Like that's not how a country is supposed to be.
Yeah,
ran.
LMAO, they can afford iron domes in Israel, right? Like, so when people say that, but how do you afford it? Okay, how did we afford the Iron Dome? How did we afford militarizing
Right.
the capitals of release? How do we afford? I'll keep going. Like,
Right.
the money is there, y'all. That is not the problem. It's how we are spending it.
Right. That's not profitable. Again,
Yeah.
you got to stop thinking we live in a country. We live in a corporation. Stop thinking we live in a country. We live in a corporation. The decisions are made, corporate decisions, not country decisions, not for the good of the country. For the good of the country is for their citizens to be healthy. It's for their citizens not to be under stress. That's for the good of the country.
Yep.
You get what I'm saying? So yeah. But anyway, Liv, I think we have come to the end of this episode. I don't want to go too far because last time we had like back to back episodes with very, very little break. So I do want us to have a short break in between the next episode. Now, I do got to give everybody a heads up that we're going to talk about what we're going to do with this next episode. I'm not sure if we're going to just stream it to Rockfin or we are going to I don't know, switch up the topic, but I'll talk to you and the other master of ceremony to see what you ladies want to do. Okay, so Liv, what do you have coming up? I know besides the conversations with leftists, besides the conversations with leftists, what else do you got going on, Liv?
Well, Jay, I'm going to have a talk with you soon about what I want to do with my life now.
Right.
Because I'm seriously considering right now how I'm getting by is I'm in grad school and I'm living off student loans. And I'm thinking after this semester, pausing school and going ham with my work, continuing my work with the Maryland Green Party. So at a state level, the Green Party at a national level, at an international level, I'm working with we've started an international lavender green caucus. We're starting with some other greens from Europe. I'm looking forward to the general strike happening on October 15th and helping prepare for that and helping build our mutual aid network and promoting our mutual aid networks to get that going so we can have a successful general strike happening so we can get this revolution going. And if y'all, so what I'm going to do is figure out what to do with my life. And if you follow me on Twitter, I'm almost at 1,000 followers. Thank y'all. Thank you. I'm so happy to be connecting with all y'all comrades. I'm going to be hosting Twitter Spaces soon. And then I'm going to start a Patreon page to help support myself.
Awesome.
So follow me on there and let me know what content y'all want. I want this to be very interactive. I want to get to know y'all and interact with y'all. I want what you guys want. I have some ideas of what I want to post, but I want to hear what y'all want to hear too. So thank y'all. Please follow me back and support me. Thank y'all. You guys are amazing. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Thank y'all.
Awesome. Thank you, Liv. So for us, again, we have our shows the rest of today, 5:30, Conversation with Leftists at 8 o'clock. These are all Eastern times. I'm saying 8 o'clock is the new left podcast. So make sure you join us back here at the Fred Hampton Leftist Network for both of those live streams in just later today. Thank you for those that commented. If you would like to support us, right there down that scrolling, support FHL on Ko-fi. I think it's ko-fi.com, and you just search Fred Hampton Leftist. And or you can go to our page on that channel or profile on that website and donate. Also, I have a direct link if you want to just donate to this particular show straight out of politics or just directly to me. That's there scrolling also. And what do I have coming up outside of the two streams? What am I next week I'm trying to get Liv Rome non-voting felon, and Sky
Oh,
Daddy
awesome.
on for
Wow.
next week. Just as long as we can coordinate times. It's really the only thing that's holding that up. They're all down for it. So trying to get them on for next week to do a discussion about direct action, but they're the
Love it.
flamethrower edition. These are my comrades that I think are most want to be more firebrand about what to do with their direct action. So that's why I wanted to pair these three group these three together to talk about that. So hopefully
Love
it can
it.
be done next week, if not the following week. So yeah, that's what we have coming up. Again, thank you again. We're going to be signing off from this live stream. Join us again in a little bit at 5:30 Eastern.